it's Joy, and today we're watching The Wheel of Time, Season 2, Episode 7, Dae'Mar. I am so stressed and so excited for this episode. Before I start anything, I want to say a really quick thank you to Rapunzel and Kate, who have become my lovely moderators, who are changing over comments for me so that I do not get accidentally spoiled by anybody's either unintentional spoilers or intentional spoilers. Thank you very, very much for being so kind as to do that for me. I am so stressed for these babies, my loves. I love these characters, I love the show. And it's the penultimate episode, and that means actually just we're gonna solve everything, and then it's just gonna be a picnic and a nice party. It's gonna be the opposite of that. I'm so excited and so stressed. Like, oh, I love this show. Ramble over, a reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go.
It's a bit vague, and my sister too, she can be really...
All excited about introducing her to her family because she really cared about her. I mean, she obviously cares about her family. It was, I presume they're about to hear the prophecy, and that's going to be what changes them.
We don't have to, it's just...
Moiraine looks so different.
With the war.
Happier, carefree.
So hot. In a bamboo hut on the river, like my father and I had.
And I'll be your fishwife.
You're like a bloody awful fishwife.
And then we'll retire.
Do you mean that?
Yes.
So they can retire.
You'll be my fishwife.
We're actually going to see the time she had this vision.
Gitaris and I, we bring news from the Amalek.
They're both so different. Like, it's just so fascinating to see these women at such a different time in their lives, a different... The way Suan holds herself is different. She's kind of much more regal now because she has to be, because she's becoming Amelin's seat. Their lives are about to change forever.
The war is over.
The Aiel are retreating.
What is it? What's happening?
The dragon is born again.
Yep.
I feel it.
And their lives are changed forever.
Tell no one, my sisters.
Oh, and she told them to tell no one.
The dragon reborn. And prepare the world to follow.
And all their hopes and dreams that they were just sharing, they know those are never coming true now. The stakes are far higher and so different. I can't believe we got to see that. Like, I never thought we'd actually get to see that moment. They did such a good job of making Suan and Moiraine look themselves, but young, full of hope. In a way, I know it was only 20 years ago, so they weren't exactly young by, like, human standards, not Aes Sedai standards, but they seemed far more like, in a way, the Two Rivers villagers, sort of young, a bit idealistic, full of hope, full of just belief in each other and the future, and like maybe there could be a good future at the end of all of this. Whereas now they're just in this fight, and they've been doing it for 20 years, and they know the stakes, and they have to put on these roles, and it's really sad to think of how much their lives have been changed by this. I think, having met Moiraine in particular, I don't know Suan as much. We met her 20 years into this search. She's very Moiraine-like, very kind of, yeah, she's more desperate this season, but it's one thing to hear, oh, she used to be a lot more carefree, and it's another thing to physically see just how young she used to be. And I feel like she probably aged instantly into the woman. I mean, it wouldn't have been instant, but there would have been an absolute change in how she perceived the world and saw everything, because there had to be. Also, I think that so when they came to tell her that the war was over and the Aiel were retreating, so that does mean that Rand's mother was killed during a retreat period. Was she fighting all alone, or did they hunt them down as they were retreating? Not very warlike, sportsmanlike, but it was war. But you know, if the war's over, leave them alone.
Why didn't you tell me you'd been stilled?
Yeah, first and foremost, her heart cares for her loved one.
And not one word. I've let you carry this burden for 20 years, love. You've given everything for it.
She has.
From here on out, I row beside you.
Let her, Moiraine.
Is that why you ran from the eye of the world? Why you hid here?
I left to protect the people I love.
Don't be so selfish. You were born to protect this world.
Okay, well he thought he'd done it. He thought he'd caged the Dark One for another 3,000 years. That was what he thought when he walked away. Like, yeah, potentially, Moiraine could have said, actually, Rand, I don't think it's over. But she was kind of dealing with a lot in the moment, and reeling herself, so I'm not faulting her for that. But he left because he thought he'd done it. He thought, wow, that was tricky. Glad that's over. Gonna go be alone forever now. Bye. He didn't do it because he was being selfish. But I also get why Lan feels that way.
That's Moiraine now you're doing this.
And now, yes.
Give me your blade. Aaron dips the wing. You've been learning sword forms.
I've learned a couple of things.
I'm not entirely sure of the significance of changing his outfit.
Forms, use cat crosses the courtyard. Keep your back straight. Every muscle loose. Go.
Oh.
The Amelin waits.
Is it like the outfit? The sun is meant to be a significance to him wearing that outfit, and I don't get it. If they mention it, that's fine. But they don't tell me, please. And if it's a spoiler, don't tell me. Hello.
As you've summoned me, Mother, so I've come.
Matt, he just wanted to make things right and be there for his friends where they needed him. Oh. I don't know who that was, but I definitely didn't think the Dark One was going to be cool with Matt not doing what he wanted, or Ishamael at this point. I mean, Matt. Fuck. Okay, so the favour she's owed, did Ishamael ask her, essentially, or did Leandrin? I guess one of the two, to get him here, because that was the goal.
Why didn't they fight back?
How could they?
You said there was no gear traveling with your friend Perrin, correct? This time you listen to me and do exactly as I say.
I know, Nynaeve, you don't like taking orders, but at least hear her out, you know?
And an investment in your future within our empire.
Fuck off.
Very proud. Few women are capable of wearing the... You'll regret it.
Look, what we do is we go step by step, we fight the battles that are worth fighting, and we survive in the meantime.
I don't trust Varen Sadai, even if Lan does.
I don't know who I trust, I'm gonna be honest.
I'll follow Thomas.
2-1.
I like that they do work as like a sort of democracy. She doesn't... Because she could have pulled rank and been like, no, we're staying together. I'm stressed that they're not staying together, but... Oh no. I knew they weren't going to be safe. Very stressed. Oh.
I don't know what you think you'll get. Nothing to say to you.
Well, he has some things to say to you.
I stood it within me.
No, I didn't. Not for 1 second. Because I know that protecting Rand, guiding him, that is the only thing that matters. More than me, more than you.
Is that true? And she did have enough of a sense of purpose outside of herself. And she's also had 20 years of putting other people ahead of herself. The search for the dragon was more important than anything she wanted in her own life, which could also translate to the depths of despair she was in over being stilled. Or is she kind of angry because she's defensive because it did cross her mind?
You have to trust someone. At some point, Moiraine. If it's not going to be me, then I thought it might at least be her.
He just wants to help you.
We are meant to cage you. Keep you shielded, channeling only when we want what we want. Will be the greatest weapon in our arsenal. But not our general.
Yeah.
I won't live in your cage.
All around. Offer him more of a partnership.
We would have been so much better off if you were a girl.
Well, yes, but that's not how it works. I'm never saying that matter.
I know that you're mine.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that. We are biding our time over here. It's okay to do what she wants for now. Because we're surviving.
This weaver's simple.
It's okay. That is Egwene. Her strength and not yours. We're gonna wipe that smile off your bitchy face.
Wisdom Almira.
Mm-hmm.
Nynaeve. It is you. Elaine Jacquard. Daughter, heir of Andor.
Get up. Don't encourage her.
I
Don't encourage her.
son of Arin.
We'll get you out too. I swear it.
We are getting everybody out. I swear it.
I have a gift for you.
He doesn't want it.
The real one. Your soul.
But I don't trust you.
Then pour a cup for yourself. Only one.
I don't trust you that you haven't done something that's going to make him be like, oh, I've been evil all my lives, or whatever. You know, you warp the vision or whatever. I don't trust you. Because he wouldn't give this to Matt if he thought it would help him. Like, just with no strings attached. Unless he thinks it's purely going to be a trust.
What are you doing?
What are we doing? Can we give Perrin a little bit of information so I can get some information? A little explanation would help. Is it like punishment for failing or something? Because this is not going to help with the progress going forward if she's injured. Yep, I knew this wasn't going to be anything good. Matt.
Just like him.
Okay, so like, I don't believe Matt is evil to his core or anything like that. I don't trust that tea. Like, for me, my interpretation is that the tea brings Soji your darkest past selves. I mean, I feel like if the wheel has been spinning for all of eternity and people get cycled through, we're all gonna have been somebody not great at some point, right? Like, I don't know, and maybe there was just cause for some of those executions. We don't know. Like, if it had come from anybody other than Ishamael, I would have been a lot more trusting. I don't know, if like Loyal had been like, this is an ancient Ogier thing, I would be like, yep, we trust you, mate, I'll drink that, yep, happy. Oh dear, that's not too promising, is it? But because it came from Ishamael, who wants to lure them all to the darkness, wants to break them, wants to make them either broken so that they cannot interfere, or join the dark side so they are on his side with him and the Dark One, I don't trust that was just an ordinary look at all of his past lives, and, you know, that he wasn't a nice dude at all in any of them. But for Matt to experience that on top of all of his other self-doubt and self-loathing and feeling like he is just hurting everyone around him, the rhetoric that his mother has put into his head since he was young, you're just like your father, you're just like your father. Did you ever give him a chance to be anything other than like his father? No, you didn't. We know he is not evil or heartless. We know that the way he cared for his sisters, it would have been very easy for him as a young man to ditch that horrible family, make his own way in whatever way, and leave his sisters to raise themselves the same way he was likely left to raise himself. But he didn't. We know he cared for them. And I don't believe the only reason he didn't go through, I know the only reason he didn't go through the ways was because of, you know, but within what happened, I don't believe the reason he didn't go with them was purely because he was scared. Yes, he was definitely scared and terrified, but I also think it was, he'd literally just escaped the dagger's pull, and I think he was most likely feeling, you know, I'm not good enough, and if I'm the dragon, God help everybody, and I'm just going to hurt them, I've got to stay away. We know that is the reason why he is not, I mean, right now I don't know if he could be at Rand's side, because, you know, Rand's having some times with Swan, but, like, the reason he didn't leave with him for Farn wasn't because he didn't care about Rand, or Egwene, or Perrin, or any of the, I think I only knew about Egwene at that point, but it wasn't because he didn't care about his friends, it was because he cared about them so deeply and he didn't want to hurt them. There is not evil in Matt's soul alone. I'm sure there is some darkness in him, there is some darkness in everybody. This show is not a show which has like, oh, the good guys are all pure white heavenly beings who don't do anything wrong. They're all complex beings. But I have to believe that there would have been some goodness in his past lives. And so that makes me distrust Ishamael greatly.
The Tower's laws have stood for 3,000 years. It's time we obeyed them.
But they've never been tested.
The Reds will gentle him.
Not while I hold the seat.
The Tower is filled with your enemies. You were to get the Tower ready to support him. Or have you forgotten that day?
Ready to shield him if he starts to go mad, yet here you are, stilled.
And here you are, not in full control of the Tower.
Guide him.
What is happening to me?
You've been shielded from the One Power.
Yep. It took multiple sisters to do it to Logain. So I think if Rand were to be more in control of his power, he would easily be able to break through from one sister doing it to him.
Fun. Egwene is there. Ishamael has her.
If they need me in phone, and they certainly don't want me being held prisoner with the Emerald State.
This is royal business. Go
Fuck.
upstairs now.
Is he actually evil? He seemed too sweet and lovely, and he's Will Tudor. If he's actually evil, I will not be surprised.
What does our master ask of me?
Yes, I knew you were evil. I mean, I didn't. I really hoped he was going to be sweet, and then I was concerned he was going to die. But yeah, it's not a huge shock, you bitch.
Remove her from the board.
She is my aunt.
Exactly.
So he does love her. That part's genuine.
She's being held in a cell in the palace.
God, so is that how House Dae'Mar rose again? How he is going to marry the queen?
Oh.
To do with that? Not.
And if your mother suspects anything, take care of her too.
Welcome to the dark side. Yes. Yes, your son is not who you thought he was. And Matt. Get your hands off of him right now. He does not want your comfort. I will comfort him if anyone has to comfort him, okay? You go away.
Again and again. But for what?
Well, if that is the truth, he's doing a lot better in this life.
And be a simple fact.
It's like a drink that shows you all the pain of your past lives.
The freedom of
This is awful. This is awful.
Can you get me out?
Isn't Moiraine with you?
I mean, given that they want you out, sweetheart, they're probably going to be doing it anyway.
Surely she can do something.
God, she's still trying to undermine him there.
Maybe I won't need you. Can you get me out or not, Lenfir?
Without hurting people, preferably, but... Yep. You know? This is great. Maybe could have specified the how. I suppose with Landfish, he was always going to do this, even if he hadn't gone to her, because they need him not imprisoned.
We expect we would fight the last battle against an army of kittens.
Maybe hoped we wouldn't be fighting the last battle personally.
We've sung her.
She's being shielded the whole time. Shamiel's probably powerful enough. Yep, we got the information we needed though.
In the foregate.
You think I've forgotten what you did to Gwen and Steppen? You will get this key when they take you back to the White Tower. There are two brown sisters that are desperate to study a man who can channel.
He was an evil man. Like, also, Lan just showed you the key. He didn't actually make a deal with you about the key.
3,000 years pass and we're back to...
Yep. If the Dark One had just left things alone, they wouldn't be. I don't like this. I mean, to tell myself, like, I don't like that, like, Rand asked her to, like, do this. Obviously, he didn't say, can you go kill loads of people and come get me? He was just like, can you get me out? And I do also fully believe that even without him coming to ask her, they need him in farm. So she would have been coming anyway, or somebody from the dark side would have been coming anyway, because they need him out. That's like, even without doing anything, this just expedited it. But I don't like it. The tidal wave, right?
What do you think it'll do when we try to put it on?
Oof.
I don't know.
Wonderful, wonderful girls. Wonderful, wonderful girls. Surviving. That's what we're doing. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Surviving.
The Shanshan Empress has one charge, and one alone.
To conquer the world.
To unite every person on this planet under the light.
You know, enslaving people isn't really very light of you.
We'll only be able to fight it if we stand together. All of us.
Yeah. That's why we enslave people, so we can stand together.
I will kill you.
Mm-hmm. I knew the defiance was there. It's our girl. Fight the battles that are worth fighting and keep going. Oh my god, when she was braiding her hair, my brain like got stuck in her way. She's re-braiding her hair. Ever since she became in the White Tower, she had left it unbraided because she was like being like joining in with everyone else. And Nani clung to it, but she's re-braiding her hair. She's that in itself. I know that like they braid their hair, but the act of her doing it, it's like reclaiming herself, reclaiming her womanhood. What a nice cell for you.
No. Why? In Light's name, why?
It's in the Dark's name.
I did it for you. Difference between right and wrong.
Yep.
And how much harder it is sometimes to do what is right.
I can't tell anybody.
I already have.
Good.
Mother.
I'll take his shield.
I am concerned she's also Black Archer of some kind and doesn't, but I hope we can trust her. Because I don't trust anybody. Yes, this is the Landfare chaos, my darling.
Farm.
You're not alone in this any longer, sister. But you
That
need
makes
to
me
hurry.
happy.
I hope you're with this boy.
He's doing his best.
I'd be with you.
I just really hope Lanthea's now left because she's done what she needed to do.
You're going to open it.
Just do it.
Look at Moiraine.
Yes, can you see it? Please help her, please, please, please.
Lan.
Please.
Close your eyes. What do you see?
Please, please, please. Please, 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 please.
It looks like a knot tied together.
That's a
Shamael didn't steal you.
Yes.
Even a Forsaken could do that alone. It was a shield that he's tied off.
Because she didn't have the despair that they had. She obviously felt despair, but not the level of it. Uh-huh.
What do I need to do? You don't have the skill to untie this knot. You'll have to cut it.
The trust we are putting in you, sweet boy.
I trust you.
She does.
Go on.
Cut through it. I am sorry it took me so long to do my duty.
No, it's okay. As it should be. Oh, so I'm stressed. You gotta hurry though, because I feel like things are coming. Yep. Oh god.
Close the Waygate, Moraine. At the eye of the world, you failed. The stakes are too high to fail again. Close the Waygate.
And slaying the dragon essentially is
I
not the
don't
way
want to
either.
force you. An unbreakable oath. Bound by the One Power.
The Emerald Seat will be her downfall.
Close it!
If you have ever loved me, don't
I
do
command you to close the Waygate.
Can we all work together and talk to each other, please? The Emerald Seat will be your undoing or your downfall. Is this it? Can we tick that prophecy box? So Lanfear's probably still rocking around. Berkenstein Lanfear's going to appear and kill Swan, and then Leandrin will become the Emerald Seat. Yeah, she took control of your power and used it by force. How they've changed from who they were. Yep, this is what I was scared of.
She's too strong, Swan.
Oh god, this is what I was afraid of.
No.
I told you the next time I saw you two together I'd kill.
You're not going to touch her. None of you want my help.
Fuck, fuckity fuck.
Lucky.
Oh, we're all going together? Jolly-o? Or is they not going with him? Yeah, this will be a real fun trip. Both trying to do the right thing. I mean, Moiraine was just asking you the same thing a moment ago. Fuck. How dare they end it? Honestly, every single time these episodes end, it is actually a crime. Against me and against every other fan of this show. Like, why is this not just an 8-hour movie? Technically, why isn't the show 10 episodes long or at least 13 episodes long? Like, you know, good old English television, Doctor Who, Merlin, etc. I know this isn't good old English television, it's Amazon production, but you know what I mean. It used to be 13 episodes long and that was nice. 8 episodes is nothing. This could easily be 10 episodes. It could be 12, it could be 13. 20 episodes. I mean, admittedly, the longer you make it, I feel like the more filler you get. But then with this kind of show, they probably just do more books quicker. Okay, I'm waffling about literally nothing. So much happened in this episode, and yet, I mean, it wasn't nothing happened, but I feel like compared to what's going to happen in the next episode, nothing happened, if that makes sense. But obviously, so much did happen. Something this show is brilliant at doing is it has episodes a little bit like it's episodes that are kind of putting things in motion for the next episode. Also have so much plot going in them that they're not really just putting things in motion. Okay, starting off with my girl Egwene. She's alive. She is surviving and she is keeping her spirit alive, just like I said in the last episode. Breaking on this one thing of admitting that jug isn't gonna kill her doesn't mean you're breaking in general. And sometimes you need to break to survive. Like that is okay. And so the amount of emotion and pride I feel from seeing that fiery determination still in her eyes, because by all rights, if she was fully broken, I would not be blaming her. I would be just comforting her and hugging her and telling her she's getting out of this, and then she will be able to build herself back up. It's going to be okay. But seeing that strength, that determination, all this has done is show, I mean, I feel like in some ways it was almost the fact that it was also being done to a very high-ranking Aes Sedai, who had also had the exact same thing happen to her that she had broken too. I think that kind of both sparked anger, how dare you do it to someone like that, but also like, I'm not weak for this. This is just what happens. I can keep fighting. It's also showing Egwene just how powerful she is. We know this season that she's been struggling a lot with the fact that Nynaeve is more powerful than her. That everyone is like, oh, you know the all-powerful Nynaeve. Whereas maybe she's not as powerful as Nynaeve, but she has now seen for herself that she is still super powerful. Like, just because you're not quite as good. Doesn't mean you're not useful, doesn't mean you're not epic, doesn't mean you're not infinitely powerful yourself. And the fact that she still has that determination in her soul and the confidence to, like, genuinely, if that was me, I keep saying, like, just fight the battles that need fighting. I would have just been like, thank you, Renna, for that information. I will consider it. And then when she left, I'm gonna kill you. You know, I would, like, be kind of outwardly, like, not... I mean, I feel like if Egwene had just suddenly completely acquiesced and was just, like, a meek, humble little servant, she wouldn't buy it. But I don't think I'd be threatening murder upon the person that, you know, because... fight the battles that need fighting. But I love that Egwene, it really showed that she's not broken, and that for all Renna's gloating, and, you know, Renna's going to go and hang out among other Sudan, or whatever they're called, Sudan, and say, oh, I've got the most powerful Damane, in the back of her mind she's going to be thinking, who still wants me dead? You know, if that collar gets broken, what is Renna comparatively? A slaver. That is it. That is all she has going for her. So I'm immensely proud of Egwene for everything she's enduring and how she is managing to stay strong. Like I said, I would not fault her if she was broken at this point, if she was someone that needed to be rescued and helped put back together. I would still believe she would find her inner strength. I would still believe that she would be okay in the long run, but there would be no shame in breaking in these kind of circumstances. But the fact that she hasn't makes me want to give her the biggest hug. Makes me want to say, you've got this, another, keep going, keep going. You have not given up, other people have not given up, they are coming for you. And I love the display of just how powerful she is. Then our girlies, Nynaeve and Elaine. I love Nynaeve's irritation with the fact that Elaine is a princess. It's just like, stop reminding her of that fact. And I do think that Nynaeve would very much charge straight at where Egwene is, or just charge at the palace, try and be like a bull in a china shop, just going through everything, which wouldn't be the most practical thing. And that is out of her desire to protect, that is out of her desire to save Egwene, because every moment Egwene is there is a moment Egwene is suffering. And it is also probably a little bit out of the fact that she knows she is extremely powerful, so that if she's able to do it, she could, you know, that's the sound that the one power actually makes. But you have to have really good hearing to hear it. That she could just go in there and do and save her somehow is what she'd like to imagine. I do think that if they had just barreled to the palace, I don't think Nynaeve actually would have just barreled the whole way in. I think she would have done a bit more intel gathering, but I think it really showed you Elaine's strategist head, that she, I suppose, being the daughter heir, she, so every time I say that I do giggle because I just picture a doorway, the daughter heir of Andor, that she's been kind of raised with ruling in mind, with strategizing, with thinking steps ahead, the long-term picture, not just the short-term, with high-stakes situations. And even though, yes, she's not the ruler, she's just the heir, so, but she's been trained with that in mind. I think you really see that she'll make an excellent ruler. Like, that she is very good at strategizing, at knowing the long-term goal is what's most important, and kind of taking the steps to get there. Does that mean she's never going to make a mistake? Of course not. But I think you really saw her kind of thinking and strategizing shine. Loyal and Nynaeve, that was everything. I'm taking the reunions I can get, okay? Happy reunions, even if one of them's not technically that happy, given the circumstances, I'm taking them. They're able to get information from him, they know where Egwene is, they know a little bit more about how it's guarded, and I love Nynaeve's promise of, we're getting you out too. I love this freaking show and these characters. So their strategy now is they know that only a Sudan can get into the kennels. I was initially genuinely concerned they were gonna put the collar on Elaine and then, like, pretend to be, like, going in there. I'm very glad they didn't do that. Again, I was thinking that's a bit, like, that's putting a lot of confidence in your ability to get these things off one day. But I love the fact that they had this plan, that they were able to capture the Sudan, nowhere near her, Damane, I guess, without the collar, like, she was just not able to do anything, and just get that collar on her neck. How do you like it, bitch? I'm very stressed about what their plan is going forward, but I'm also very proud of them for their strategizing, for their planning. Again, if in their scenario they just panicked and said, we just need to, I mean, I know that they were determined they weren't leaving the city without Egwene, but if they had been like, wow, even that Aes Sedai couldn't stand up to them, we should go and get help, I wouldn't have faulted them for that. I would have been like, yeah, it's a huge situation, but they have enough. I'm just proud of them for the way they keep fighting. Also in the city is Matt. Now, obviously Matt did not want to go, he stopped going to farm. They got him there anyway. I am concerned for Min that there might be some kind of repercussion against her. I have hopefully just the fact that they're not going to do what she wants will be enough of a repercussion against her. But Matt is here, and I was concerned that he was going to wake up with the dagger in his hand. You know, they had him unconscious. If they could give him the evil dagger, put it in his hand, he'd wake up with it there. But instead, it was as insidious as they continue to be, this careful manipulation, kind of offering him this thing that most people wouldn't be able to pass up the chance to see their past lives, especially not somebody as lost as Matt, especially given that the circumstances they're in. Realistically, if that guy wants him to drink that, you could force him to drink it. Again, please don't spoil. When I ask questions like, if this is not the case, if it is a spoiler because you find out the truth about it later on, don't tell me. Actually, don't tell me anyway. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but you know what I mean. I guess it probably is a spoiler regardless. I don't believe that the tea was as simple as he put it. I don't believe it simply showed you all of your past lives and who your true self is. Because if that is the case, if that was Matt's true self, I would say he is doing such a fantastic job of being better than his inner nature, that he is rising up, that he is a good, kind soul doing his best. Of course, I am operating from my viewpoint that all of the characters I love are going to stay good, and I'm going to stay there, and I will be in denial for as long as possible if need be. But I see Matt as a very lost soul, as someone that has had a very hard hand dealt to him. We don't know a huge amount about Perrin's parents, but he hasn't mentioned them badly or fondly. We know that that Egwene and Rand were raised with loving parents. Yeah, there was some complicated stuff in that Rand only just found out about, but when they were young, when they were children, when they were growing, they were surrounded by love. We know Nynaeve had that, then it was cruelly ripped away from her, which is obviously a trauma that I'm not in any way making light of, but she then was taken in by the wisdom and given love and support. Matt didn't have that. Matt kind of, his only real support was his friends that he had. And so I see him as such a lost soul. The fact that he is as good as he is a miracle and brilliant and wonderful, and I am freaking concerned. So it seems now that the plan that that Rand seemed to think is the plan, Matt probably the plan, is that Rand's gonna come to farm, they're gonna be like, this is the dragon, oh everyone look upon him, and then Matt's gonna kill him, and then the Dark One will be like, lol, the dragon can't save you, I guess. I thought they wanted to make the dragon join them on their side to stop the wheel turning, but I guess that's not their goal, or they've assessed Rand and decided it's too much effort, we'll wait 3,000. I don't know. But that kind of seems like what they're going for. Maybe they think that if his friend stabs him, that will trigger like a huge explosion of power in the moment that will do what they want. I don't know. Maybe the betrayal of it will send him, he'll survive it, they know he'll survive it, and that will send him to the dark side. I don't know. But I'm very concerned because that moment with Matt, that was a way to take an already vulnerable person and break him mentally. Now, I haven't seen enough of Matt to know where his head is at fully right now, because obviously the moments after he drank that and saw those awful visions that I also feel like this could be the darkest parts of his past. It could even be entirely fabricated. It could be you see your worst fears of what your past was. Like, I don't necessarily believe 100% that it is what he said it is, but you know, it was designed regardless. They knew what it would do to Matt, which makes me think it wasn't just his true past selves, because how the frick would they know what his true past selves were? He's a focal point this time around, but the implication was that it's very rare that there would be so many focal points and a dragon all at the same time. It was designed to break Matt mentally, to take advantage of all of his weak spots, all of his insecurities, and smash through them and make him desperate to do anything to stop that cycle from continuing, to save himself and everybody else from the wheel, as they put it, as they think of it. I could see the setup here being he's gonna be like, okay, go kill Rand now, off you pop, sweetie, that'll do it for you. I don't think Matt would just casually go and kill Rand. He might hurt him or something if he was made to think it was ultimately in his best interest. Like, again, I don't know we're there. I don't know if we're actually at that point yet. But, you know, potentially if he was told, oh, Rand's just suffering, you know, you made that promise with him that never let us go mad, he's already going mad, like, it's gonna happen to him, the kindest thing you could do would be to enter suffering now before any of that happens. I could potentially see Matt in the vulnerable position he is in being pushed to that point. but we haven't seen enough of him for me to know whether he's actually there yet. I mean, post lying on the floor, desperate. Obviously when he said, what do I do, or whatever, like, what can I do, how do we do that? I can't remember his exact words. Seems as though he is there, but that could also be like, I feel like if Ishamael was there with me, I'd be like, yes, I do wish to help you. And then when he left, I'd be like, right, can I escape? But I do worry that that's kind of where Matt is. And I worry about Matt. In this season, I was really hoping we'd see more of him reunited with the others, and obviously it makes sense that we haven't seen that, both plot-wise. None of them have really been all that together. You know, Nynaeve and Egwene were kind of together for a little while, but even they were emotionally distant. I'm very stressed about Matt right now. I do feel like potentially this show could have done with 10 episodes just to give some, like, it's not a criticism. This show for me is a 10 out of 10. I adore it. It makes me feel home. It's my favorite show that's on at the moment. It is one of my favorite shows of all time currently. Like, I adore this show. I do feel like potentially with 10 episodes even, there could be that little bit more breathing time, and we could maybe have a couple more scenes with Perrin, a couple more scenes with Matt, even with Rand at certain points. Just a few more moments and scenes where we could check in with the characters. And the downside of that could be that the episodes might not be quite as action-packed. They might be ever so slightly slower because you would have these character-based scenes. And the show does do brilliant character-based scenes. It does have those scenes where you check in with them, but I feel like maybe a little bit more time could be spent on them emotionally. I don't know, but I also just really enjoy delving into the emotional habits of characters. Okay, so I've done the girlies, I've done Matt, Perrin, and Iandra. I'm calling her Iandra. I'm sorry if that's not her name. She met up with some other Aiel. It makes sense that she's not the only person searching for their chief of all chiefs or whatever. Their culture definitely seems fascinating, and I'm so excited to learn more and more about it. It also seems like a culture I would not do well in. But I love the idea of Toe, I believe she says, of the kind of the honor that she failed her sister by not protecting her, so therefore she takes the blows. It is very interesting and very different from the other cultures we've seen within the show. It's also very, very interesting to think that Rand comes from that culture. As far as we know, both of his parents were biologically of that culture, and yet he knows nothing about it. My theory is still that he's the one they're searching for, but it literally, Elaine's a redhead, maybe it's secretly her, and even though, I don't know, any other redheads walking around, but I'm very intrigued to learn more about what they're after and her sense of honor. Now, are the other Aiel traveling with them to farm because she's got this debt to Perrin and, well, we might as well look in farm, or do they also have some knowledge that they could be there, that is a thing? We are yet to know what information they're going off in this search. Do they have their own prophecy of where the person will be or whatever? Now, the fact that they said, how is this all sea? Obviously, we knew that the tidal wave thing happened, but I just kind of assumed it was like a tsunami and then it went back out to sea and they just caused some destruction. But they actually, like, reshaped the coastline for their own purposes, right? Was Farm maybe not even a port town before? But they're almost there. So you've reached this point now where all of the main characters are in this city. That is taken over by evil slaver people who think they're working for the light. My dudes, you're slave people. You're slavers. The light doesn't want anything to do with you. The light is like, who are those gross people in the shadows? As I said in a previous episode, they are literally the step up from the Dark One. That is it. That is as much as they have going for them. But they're all arriving. Perrin and Hopper and Iandra. Yeah, I hope he and Nynaeve can meet up. I suppose if he manages to find Loyal, because as far as all he knows right now is that Loyal and his other friends from the Gate City, oh lord, brain fog sucks, they're there. He has no idea about Egwene, he has no idea about Nynaeve. I presume he will be like, I must find Loyal, and as Loyal, he's, I'm gonna use the word freedom. He's not given any freedom, he's a slave. Please, no, that's not what I mean. But he's got the freedom to walk the city. Obviously, not actually free in any way, shape or form. He isn't monitored at all times. He can leave the palace or whatever. That is also possible for Perrin to find him and talk to him, and he will say, Nynaeve is here, Egwene is here, this girl Elaine you don't know is here. None of them know Matt is here, none of them know Rand is coming, none of them know Rand is alive. I'm very stressed for that revelation, because it's going to be such a mix of delight of, oh my, I'm so happy you're alive, and how the fuck could you let me mourn you? Potentially, I think with more time and explanation, they might understand that he thought he defeated the Dark One. Therefore, if he left his friends and family, then he wouldn't hurt them when he inevitably went mad. Like, that was the reason he left them. It wasn't because he didn't care. It wasn't because he couldn't care less about defeating the Dark One. It was because he thought, job done. I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm dealing with a lot. I'm very angsty. I've got to go angst over here. But I also think, given everything they've been through, particularly Egwene right now, I don't know that that's going to be as joyous a reunion as I would want it to be. And also, that makes sense. And also, like, given the plot of what's happening, I don't think it's going to be any time for any reunions whatsoever. But there's parents arriving. There's leaving the Kyren stuff for the end. I did not trust Moiraine's nephew. I mean, I did. I'll be totally honest with you. I kind of did. He seemed more... I was at such a battle backwards and forwards with it. Partly it was because of the actor, I know. And so I was like, oh, you've played evil people before. Also because he just seemed like such a genuine and sweet person. And anytime you meet a new character who seems genuine and sweet, I'm like, away. And yeah, the fast rise of House Damodred was quite an interesting one. It does show you yet again the scale of how many people are Dark Friends, how far and wide they are. Everywhere you look, they could be. I was very concerned that they were going to kill Moiraine's family, but they just turned one of them. I do think, wording, my brain is escaping how to word the sentence. I have a lot of respect for her sister. You know, she doesn't think Moiraine is the son. She doesn't think Moiraine is the most wonderful person in the world. She sees her flaws, and I think she has quite a harsh view on Moiraine because she doesn't know the full circumstances of everything. But she knows what's right and what's wrong, and that the hardest thing to do is the right thing, and locking up your own son, your only child, ending your line. Essentially, she cares a lot about House Damodred. I think she probably cares more about her child, but you know, like, House Damodred is done for now, because not only is he a traitor, but because he joined the Dark One, but he's not going to marry the Queen, he's not going to have any heirs, although if he married the Queen, they're probably over anyway. But you know, like, House Damodred will end with his shame, rather than with anything glory. But also her child will spend the rest of his life in prison if he's lucky. I hope. Yeah. Maybe the Queen will be like, I just really fancy him, or actually, I've made a pact with the Dark One too. Come on, boo, let's go get married. I don't know, but it took a lot of courage and strength to turn your own son over, especially when all he was going to do is kill someone that has, in your eyes, wronged you on many occasions. Obviously, we know that it isn't as black and white with Moiraine as it would appear to her sister, but of course it appears that way to her sister because she doesn't know all the facts. It was particularly heartbreaking and so well done to see that scene of Moiraine and Siuan before the prophecy. How young they seemed, how carefree. Still, you know, good, devoted Aes Sedai, but they had dreams for the future for themselves. Their dreams, their plans weren't just for the sake of the realm. They could kind of, we're going to do our time, do our service, and then live our lives. That was kind of where they were at. And to see that moment when they heard the prophecy, when she said, don't tell anyone, and then when she died, and it was just the two of them with this burden, but when they looked at each other, you could see in that moment they knew that nothing they had just been giddily giggling about was ever going to happen, that their lives were forever altered and were no longer their own. And Moiraine went from saying, oh, father's a bit like, you know, she was going to meet, hey, this is my girlfriend and best friend. I don't know if, but you know, she was going to introduce Siuan to her family because her family was still so very important to her. That is why it all changed. That is why she stopped going back, stopped seeing them. And it is very heartbreaking to think of just how much Moiraine suffered, how much she sacrificed for this fight, and for it to be nowhere near as simple as they hoped it would be, and to be ongoing and costing everything. And it has even cost now Moiraine and Siuan their trust in each other. That can potentially be rebuilt if they both survive. That can be, but I think they will always have this fractious moment that has been building towards. But the moment when Siuan took control, like used the oath to force Moiraine to use her power, and the moment when Moiraine left her bleeding in the dirt to follow a Forsaken into the ways, that will always be there for them. This fracture, it is not the life they could have had because they both devoted it to it. I will say that when Siuan was all like, yeah, well, you were supposed to teach him stuff. well, Simon, you were supposed to get the tower ready for him. Is the tower freaking ready for him? I don't think so. The tower is full of people like Leandrin and the Reds who want to kill every man they see. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but, you know, I'm in defense of Moiraine. Is Moiraine perfect? Hell no. But neither are you, Swan. Okay, you know, it was very, very heartbreaking. I'm joking because it's just so tragic to think of the lives these women should, by all rights, have had if things had gone differently. If 2 other people had been sent to the room to alert the seer lady that the war was over, though the wheel did not weave it that way. It was very tragic to see both the moment of, you know, Siuan has lost all faith in the way they were going about doing things, and I don't fully blame her. The way they did things didn't work. The eye of the world made things worse. I don't fault her for that. It is true that Rand is not trained, that Rand does not know what to do, but I think caging him and essentially, like, enslaving him in a way, like, he doesn't have the way what Siuan wanted to do was give him 0 freedom, train him only to do what they wanted to do, only let him do what they wanted him to do. It was another form of what the Xianchan is doing, with less dehumanization, you know, but it was another form of that. And as much as we know the Xianchan are just plain evil, they tell themselves they're doing it for the right reasons too. The idea of that is wrong in so many levels, and I guess it comes from the fear of men using the power of their madness that comes upon them, that, you know, if you let the dragon do whatever he wants. It also comes from the fear that if you leave the dragon free, he could join the dark side. We know that Siuan mentioned, what if a Forsaken gets their hands on him, and then at the end of the episode she watched the dragon follow a Forsaken through the ways. I do think Siuan wasn't entirely wrong, but I think coming in with that, I know what's right, I've decided, I'm taking away everyone's choices, was not the right answer. You started this off as a partnership with Moiraine, and yes, she kind of cut you out a little bit, but there was a reason for that to a degree. Did you give her a chance to properly explain the reason? Did you try and work out another solution with her? It was messy, but of course it was messy because I'm not even entirely sure what the right thing to do is. I know morally, you know, Siuan's plan was not right. Maybe it was the best plan to stop the Dark One, but it didn't sit right with me. I can't say that following Lanfear through the frickin' ways is also the right thing to do either. I don't know what the right things to do, and neither do the characters. They're just going by their best assessment of the situation, and it's just done so well. One of my favourite scenes was that moment when Lan and Moiraine came face to face again, because, you know, a lot has happened between them, but overall their love for each other was enduring and there the entire time. And the way he was starting to think through what had happened to her, was there a solution to what had happened to her, the fact that he found that solution, everything. You know, I really was thinking, or maybe she hasn't killed herself because she just had such a purpose to hold on to, there was something else in her life to hold on to. I was thinking maybe it was because she is so used to putting everybody else's needs first, but it was because it wasn't quite as severe as a stilling. It was something that when she first described it, or he said, I think when he did it to her, Ishamael said, like, oh, you can feel the power at your fingertips, but you can't touch it, which is very different to having it, like, removed from you. So that moment when she had the hope that she could get it back, and then, you know, Rand doesn't have the training to neatly untie it, also doesn't technically have the training to confidently cut through it, but she trusted him enough to do that. Speaks volumes for the fact that she does trust him, and I hope in some way helps soothe his doubts about her trustworthiness. Obviously, there was always, I do not blame the boy for having doubts about Moiraine. He's got to have doubts about everybody at this point. But I think he hopefully now will get the sense that she does believe in him, she does trust him, and she does think she's doing the right thing. He can disagree with her and want to do his own thing, break away from her. I'm not saying he has to just meekly follow her, but, like, hopefully this will kind of show that she really does mean it when she says she trusts him, and she really does mean it because she put everything that matters to her on the line in that moment. For Rand coming face to face with Siuan, that was quite the conversation. I don't think she took pleasure in shielding him and in the plan she was doing. It wasn't what she wanted, but she was doing what she truly thought was right. I'm not trying to demonize Siuan in any of my comments in this reaction. I'm just trying to say I don't agree with her choices. But I also think she's had quite a lonely and isolating 20 years, similarly to Moiraine, without even a warder at her side. She's kind of doing what she can. I'm constantly in fear she's going to die and Leandrin's somehow going to take over the Amazon. Literally nightmares about that. Not literally, but you know, almost literally nightmares about that. Rand and Lan, I loved that conversation. Kind of, you had Rand scolding him a little bit, you had Rand training him or teaching him like, oh, you should use this stance and do this instead. I really, really enjoy that dynamic and I hope we get more of it. I mean, I'm saying things like, I hope we get to see more of that. Who freaking knows if these characters are even going to all be together at the end of the next finale. I would love it so much if the finale ended with them all together. It's probably unlikely, but I'd still love it. But we know as well that some of the Aes Sedai broke away from that Amazon's orders. They outright defied her, and what is the consequences of that going to be? There is a fracture in the White Tower. That is going to help the dark side to have a fracture in the White Tower beyond the Black Arja. I'm also mildly concerned that various other people are Black Arja, that it's more than just Leandrin, but it's, at the moment, the chaos is only going to help the Dark One, but it's all the people doing it are doing what they truly believe is right, and that is what's so hard to deal with. I loved the quiet moments between Lan and Rand, between Moiraine and Rand, between Moiraine and Lan, the three of them, the times they actually spoke to each other, they were everything to me. Now, the decision to trust Lanfear, to go to her for help, I mean, it worked. They escaped. A lot of people died. But I mean, when he first said to Moiraine, well, they're not going to just leave me in here, are they? I kind of thought he meant it as more of a, like, inevitably they're going to do something, rather than like a kind of, I'll go and ask her for help. And while I do think we saw that moment when he stopped and looked at the city and the destruction was being caused and thought, I asked her to do that. I do think he felt that in that moment, and it doesn't, you know, it's not a great thing to have done. But I also do think, and it's not me trying to justify anything because he's gonna have to live with that decision, I do think that it was a case of, well, they're gonna come anyway. Like, the Dark One wasn't, and his servants weren't gonna be like, oh well, we did have this whole plan, but it's cool, we'll just let him stay there. They obviously were gonna put things in motion to get what they wanted. It just will have, I mean, I think given Lanfear that little bit of power by asking her for help again and by going with her, following her. I mean, they're on a trip in the ways, the four of them. I'm so stressed. So stressed. I loved the moment when Lanfear wanted to deal with Moiraine and Rand was like, no, you are not touching her. Like, if you want me to work with you, you don't touch her. Things are so precarious right now because, you know, it seems as though Ishamael and co have decided Rand is a lost cause, or someone that will be more used to them gone or dead. I don't know. We know Lanfear, it is not as black and white for her. We know that she, as much as the dragon betrayed her and made her go evil, which, like, no man is worth signing up to the dark side, ladies and men. We know that is kind of, she does still sort of love a part of him, and she keeps being like, oh, you're just like the man I used to love. Or I don't know if Lucifer was the original one that she loved, but you know, she keeps kind of, oh, you're just like him, which is really creepy. Stop it. He's a child to you. Rand is a child to me, and I am 29, okay? So leave him alone. Groomer. But there is a chance that should the Dark One's orders be against Rand, she might interfere. Again, I'm not fully like, oh, we can trust her, but you know, maybe she's the least bad Forsaken, even though she's very, very terrifying, and I feel like if she ever were to find out about these reactions and watch them, she would murder me. And I'm really sorry that I made fun of you for being slower than a horse, but the truth is you are. Oh no, that moment when he was like protecting Moiraine, and then they're all together in the ways, and this finale, like, is it going to be 6 hours long? I know, obviously, it's like, I think, did someone say books 2 and 3 with this season? So obviously, like, the story continues for like 11 more books. It's not like the story is all going to be wrapped up in the next episode, but I'm just trying to work out how the hell anything is going to be even vaguely wrapped up to continue in the end of the next episode. These characters, I adore them so much. Well, how are they going to make it through the next episode? I hope they all do. I adore this show. I cannot believe there's only 1 episode left in this season. Fuck. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.